Hi, welcome. We will get started probably closer to 3, see if more folks hop on. Thanks for being here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. We're traveling to Spokane with a group of students, so I'm going to be kind of just hopefully I can stay in service for the whole webinar.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sounds good. We're also recording this. So if you would like access to the recording, let me see. I'm not sure if you have access to the chat, Jason, but I can put in the chat the email to our NAEOP Tech chair, and they would probably be able to share this out. Or I think they also posted on the website at some point.
Did you want me to put my email in the chat?
Yeah, that would be great.
To send it to me? Send me
Yeah.
a link?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't know how good a service I'll have as we're going past Moses Lake. So
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Moses Lake, Big Bend Community
are you?
College. Yes.
Okay, we're just passing Moses Lake right now.
Awesome.
So hopefully the hotspot works. All right, well, thank you and look forward to hearing it.
Yeah. Hi, Amy.
Hey, Veronica, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Not bad, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
How's your summer been?
It's been good, I think. Yeah.
Awesome.
Took some time off. There's been some busy times, but good.
I'll shoot for some time off in the fall. The summer was just too packed. Stuff
Mhm.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. There's still some people joining the waiting room, so we'll probably give folks another 2 minutes or so. Kathy, I did see your message in the chat. If someone, I am the host, so if someone can help me walk through the steps on how to set up the closed captioning, I would be more than happy to start those.
Yeah, there should be like a CC button where the menu is, or something that says like enable live transcript.
I'm looking. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, it's 3:03, so we will go ahead and get started. My name is Veronica Guadarrama. I am not Victoria Smith, who was advertised for leading this session. Victoria is actually not feeling very well, so I will be leading the session, and Kessia will be sort of helping out in the chat. So Kessia will be looking into the captions for you, and hopefully we can get that set up.
Veronica, are you the account holder for the Zoom?
Yes, I was going to send you that information in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So welcome everyone to the NAEOP Trio Directors Hour. Very excited to see so many faces that I recognize, so many faces that I do not recognize. So thank you for taking the time to be here today. When this hour was set up, there were some sort of guiding questions for us. I will put those in the chat, but this is really our hour. So we don't need to follow the questions or guiding questions. We can. This can be whatever this group wants it to be. But before we get started with that, kind of wanted to go around, if we can popcorn around and say your name, where you're located, what program you're with, that would be great. So as I said, I'm Veronica Guadarrama. I'm the Director of Trio Student Support Services at Big Bend Community College in Moses Lake. I direct both SSS Classic and SSS STEM. And I am also this year currently the Washington State Trio President.
I can jump in. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Roseanne, and I'm zooming in from Seattle, Washington at the University of Washington. I direct two upward bound programs.
My name is Amy Christensen. I am in Pocatello, Idaho, which is the southeast corner of Idaho, and I am the director of the Veterans Upward Bound.
Hello, I'm Ken
Robin
Holliday
Williams.
from Boise State University, the director of the Veterans Upward Bound here at BSU.
And I'm Robin Williams, and I'm the incoming director for the TRIO SSS program at Southern Oregon University. I was formerly with the TRIO program as an advisor years ago, and I'm happy to come back. I officially start September 1st in that position. So happy to be joining you all.
Welcome back to TRIO, Robin.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Boyer. Services at Centralia College. I've been in the program for 15 years as a specialist and taking over for Lisa Preston.
I know you're traveling, Jason, so it was a little hard to hear you. You can put something more in the chat or you can try again, whatever feels better for you. He's traveling with students right now on the road.
I'm Josie Slepian. I am the TRIO director at Skagit Valley College as of 3 weeks ago, so brand new. I'm very excited to be in this group. And yeah, taking over for Natalie Magnus. And Skagit is about an hour and a half north of Seattle.
I'll jump in because I'm just about to get on the freeway. I'm Carol Matsuzaki. I'm the director of TRIO Upward Bound and Talent Search at Portland State University. I'll be listening, but I'm gonna turn my camera off.
I'll jump in. I'm Jessica Hayden, and I'm the director of SSS at Blue Mountain Community College, which is in Pendleton, Oregon.
Chris Solario, Director of Student Support Services at Western Oregon University in Monmouth, Oregon.
Hello, I'm Kathleen Wing, she, her pronouns. I was the interim TRIO SSS director at Highline College, but we just hired our permanent director who started early in July, and I'm just here sitting in for her today since she has a conflicting appointment.
Hi, I'm Naisha Driver, and I'm with Klamath Community College here in Klamath Falls, Oregon.
Good afternoon. My name is Mateo Arteaga, the director of the Educational Opportunity Center at Central Washington University, but housed at YVC.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kesia Ceniceros, and I'm the Associate Dean for the TRIO programs at Everett Community College. I'm also the Washington State TRIO Association and NAEOP parliamentarians on both of the boards. So welcome. I'm really happy to see everyone, and I will be monitoring the chat today.
I think there was still a couple more folks that I didn't see go. Jessica, Carol, Tony.
I'll go now. Tony, excuse me. Tony Holm, I'm the new director of Upward Bound here at Centralia College. I've been the assistant director for a couple of years, and we're going through a little transition right now with directors of multiple programs. Yeah, Tony Holm, Centralia College, Upward Bound.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. As I said, I'm happy to see new faces. I feel like I'm pretty familiar with folks in Washington State, but it's really nice to see folks from other states. So I think that's one of the nice things about this NAEOP call. You know, it's our region, and we really do get to connect with folks outside of our state. And so I guess to start us off, I did want to open it up to the group to see if there are any questions that someone had specifically that we're like, I really wanted to come to this session so I could get this one question answered. If you're that person and you have something like that, please feel free to do so at this time. Questions? Okay.
We have in the chat, how are folks managing hybrid services or offering hybrid services?
Great question, Roseanne.
Yeah, I just put that there as a curiosity. We did return to a full in-person academy for 6 weeks, which was great. But I know there may be others who did kind of a combo, and just curious. Well, actually, I will say we for our award ceremony, which can get quite large, we opted for hybrid, kind of for some public health COVID reasons, but I just figure people are experimenting with new models. So be curious what people are finding.
I can speak a little about what our program is doing, and then if anyone else wants to add. Some of the locations on our campus have already built-in methods of recording things. So it's already set up with like somewhere for video and audio. So it's been really great to be able to use some of those spaces that's already pre-set up to do something in person, but then have it recorded as well for those that want to participate virtually. I know for the fall, we've definitely talked about having as much as we can be hybrid for students. And so we are purchasing our own owl or maybe two. And so we definitely want to use that for having that participation virtually. I know WSTA and NAEOP have used owls in the past for conferences, and I know those they work pretty well for virtual participants.
Thank you.
I'd be curious if anybody is doing like hybrid tutoring, but with tutors, not through like tutor.com. How's that working? I have in-person tutors, but I also have a lot of rural area, and I'm trying to problem solve how we might get students more engaged with that. If anybody has some experience in that, that'd be great.
I know I'm new to this, but our tutoring center is doing like about 50% Zoom and 50% on ground right now. And students have options through Calendly. They just click on that, and that automatically that links to Zoom. So it populates a Zoom link, and it goes straight to their email, straight to the tutor's email. And so it's just kind of an easy system as far as I'm seeing it. And students do seem to want a lot more Zoom now. So yeah.
So the student chooses the modality?
Yes. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So they just say, I need it remote or I need it in person. And then obviously they come to the college, but otherwise, yeah, they can just, yeah. And Calendly has just been an easy platform for us to link with Zoom and with our Outlook accounts to set that up.
Hi, this is Kathy. We're at Highline College in the King County, Seattle area. Something that came up for us that I don't know if other programs have the issue, and is rethinking about how we're just working with tutoring is that we had a lot of students who parents didn't want their students to work on campus, and so they were only allowed to provide student services. And so that was actually the case for all of our tutors in the past year. And so this year we now have our first tutor who is interested and okay and wants to work in person. And so that came up for us a lot. And so we noticed that like there was a slight decline in our students utilizing our tutoring services because we didn't have in-person options. And that just wasn't a possibility for us because our students didn't feel comfortable working in person. And so that's still a case for some of our students, but more of our students now are becoming more comfortable working on campus.
We coordinate our one-on-one tutoring through our tutoring center director, who's largely leaving it to the tutors to provide what methods that they'll provide the tutoring in. We've found that largely students are still opting into the Zoom sessions. And we have a couple of math tutors that sometimes opt in to doing in person. The math has been one of the subject areas that's been really difficult for the tutors online. So, but it's also been a challenge to find tutors. So, you know, we're also potentially exploring the Tutor Me or some of the other platforms that others are using. So I'm definitely interested in hearing your experiences around some of those different ones to see if that might be an option that we want to integrate in addition to our one-on-one. But we have a lot of the resources also on our campus. So I'm trying to figure out how to not make it a supplanting cost.
For those that joined a little bit later, I did say to the group, there are some formal questions that were set up when this call was originally set up. But if anyone has any questions that they were like, I came today because I have these 1 or 2 questions that I would love to get an answer to, that's kind of what we're doing right now. Folks are asking questions, and then if we do have time, then we can go to more of those guided questions for us. But this is really our time. So please, if you have questions, don't be shy. You can either unmute yourself, or if you feel more comfortable in the chat, we do have Kessia monitoring our chat for us.
Kessia, Tutor Me is connecting to real live people, right? What'd you say? You don't know?
No, I'm not. I have a couple of different things that I'm trying to look up at this time. So we're wanting to potentially purchase something here in the next month or so.
Yeah, I'm interested in some of those options too, but since Upward Bound works with minors, the ability to get something like that approved through my university is, I anticipate, could be really difficult.
I don't mean to tap on you, Josie, but I know you're new. So is there a question you had?
Oh my goodness, so many questions. Yeah, I mean, this is probably gonna be way too basic, but I would love to know what eats up the majority of your day normally, or just, but I also know that I don't want to waste the group's time, but I have felt like I'm new enough that it's hard to know what to pay attention to and what I can let go. And I probably won't know that for a year, but I am curious where I'm reading tons about the grant and what we can do and can't do. But I'm just curious for seasoned directors, what do you find the bulk of your time going to, if you can even answer just one thing or several things? Just curious.
Say the bulk of my time is supervision and coordination between, we have 2 outreach sites, and then coordination between community and campus partners is most of, probably 70% of my time, feels like, at least this week.
Mine is several like cross-departmental coordination. So meeting with offices like Amy mentioned, just ensuring that we have up-to-date information about what activities, what things are challenging for their office that might be barriers for our students. So right now we're navigating a really large transition of student records, and that's posed a big challenge for us with financial aid, but they're keeping us in the loop about what's happening, you know, where in certain processes are there and what the lag time is going to be, and what we can provide our students to assure them that it's going to be resolved. And so you know, you probably are experiencing that as well with that transition. So we're working with some of the different offices to provide that support, and you know, coordinating that has been definitely a large part of my time.
Makes sense. Yeah, we're finding CTC Link and the information there and Target X. We just got onto CTC Link last November, and so finding some of the systems aren't talking to each other, so that's been a focus too.
I feel like I spend a large amount of my time making sure that we're, you know, keeping true to the scope of the grant. Are we doing the activities we said we were going to do? Our students receiving services, the tracking of services, those components, and then supervision as well, as Kessia said. So I think that's a really good segue into kind of the first general guiding question that was laid out. So the question was effective delegation of programmatic responsibilities. I would say for me, I'm, you know, every day figuring it out. But if someone feels a little bit more confident in their program structure and roles, if you would love to share out, I would love to hear.
That's such a good question. It's almost scary. This is Roseanne. I think, and I'm in the happy position of starting a new grant cycle for 2 upward bound grants, and realize to kind of keep myself in good shape and the programs in good shape, that this question of delegation, it's something I need to keep working on so that I can carve out more time for long-term planning and things like that. So I guess a question I have to keep asking myself is this something that only I can do, and I should really be focused on those things? And if it's something that I can delegate and in a systemic kind of way, that's going to be better for everybody. So good question and a real challenge, because I think that the services are there's such a high need that you can get in that moment. And so as a director, pulling back and strengthening that those oversight components, that's something I'm working on. So good question.
Adriana Villafan with Trio SSS at Heritage University. And I would just like to add that cross-training has really helped my program with the delegation of work. I really try to pair certain training opportunities with the work that staff is already doing. So if we are doing event planning, I've taught my retention specialists how to process, for example, Amazon orders. And that will still require my final approval, but you can plan your event, process the order for the list of things or materials that you will need, and then I sort of sign off on that. So I find those areas of what will facilitate processes for you to be able to do what you have to do, and at the same time help myself not have to process those items, as well as cross-training the program coordinator with vice versa work, so that they're not waiting on one another and we can move along with things and reach our objectives.
Adriana, how are you doing that? What activities are you doing in order to develop the cross training?
Well, I think finding, I am actually training both a new retention specialist and a new program coordinator. This is unique. I will say we're not always in the situation, but looking at the positive, I have been training both of them. The prior retention specialist, I found the right opportunity. So if she was forwarding over an Amazon list or said, hey, I need these items, I would find the time to schedule the time with her and sit down and know that, yes, it might require an hour of my day, but really it's an investment, because once she has the knowledge to be able to do it on her own, you know, they will do it. And she did just that. Our events, we had all of the materials we needed on time, because she was really processing that, doing the purchase order, which is for my program, it's really program coordinator, a job related function, but I think that seeing it more as a support to the role you're already doing and the job you're already doing, so that we can move things along faster. So just finding and scheduling, being intentional about the training and knowing that, yes, it might take some time, but it is important.
I will add, for me, I think delegation has been my focus these past, at least I would say 8 months. When I transitioned to the president of WSTA, I realized I had to find that balance, and I had to give more to my team and be okay with that, because I did not have the bandwidth to do things as I used to. And they were aware of that when I transitioned into this role. And I think what I have done is I've really worked on our policies and procedures manual to make that robust. And so really make that a resource for folks to go into and look at those processes. So yes, we've trained on different topics, but they can always go back and look at that document if they need to. It identifies who is responsible for doing what and at what times. And so that has really helped me kind of create a flow in the supervision of what I do. And it also has helped in the fluidity of my team and knowing what they're supposed to be doing at certain times. So that has been really helpful.
Veronica, your policies and procedures manual, is that like a living document that everyone has access to at any given time? Or is it more of a solid document that you send out as you make updates?
Yeah, great question. Our institution uses Microsoft Teams. And so I have that there, and it is a living document. But whenever substantive changes are made, I do share out with the team, and we do talk about those changes. But it's always accessible to them at any time.
I also use a robust policy and procedure manual and have 2 times a year that I update and go through critical points of it with the team to make sure that we're still doing the processes the way that we wrote them down. Because sometimes, organically things change. And so we touch base on intakes and recording services and stuff like that. But I make sure that I update twice a year, but they also have access to it all the time.
Right. Anything else on what you do in your job, what to delegate, what not to delegate? I really liked what Roseanne said. I think I'm going to put that question somewhere on my computer screen. She said, is this something only I can do? So really have that be a reflection piece for me. Like, is this really something that should be living in my world, or should someone else? Or how can I help my team grow? I think as a supervisor, that's something that I always try to focus on, and I try to give my team an opportunity to learn different things, and to be at a place where I feel like I can step away from my job and not feel like it's going to be chaos when I come back. So I know maybe that happens to us as directors, right? You feel very, very tied to your work and what you do. But I think that's one of the benefits of cross training, kind of what Adriana was saying, or figuring out those pieces of what really is in your role and what can live outside of your role. And
connected to that, I'm curious, for the SSS programs, do the directors also advise and meet with students, or do you have that with just your advisors? I know when I was a TRIO advisor before, the director had a smaller caseload, and now that I'm coming into this role, the position now doesn't have a caseload, which I was surprised by. So I just was curious if that has been a shift, or if that's just particular to the last grant and how they wrote this position.
I personally like to meet with students. I guess I should give background. So I started in this program as the project support specialist, and then I was the success coach, and then now the director. So I've done all of the positions that we have here. And I like meeting with students. So I kept a small caseload when I moved into director, just because the students were already familiar with me. And then also, I think it's nice that if my success coach is gone and a student comes in, I can still help them. But we all work pretty closely together, and I think our roles almost intertwine a little bit. Like, I know how to do more or less all of the stuff the project specialist does, and all of the stuff the success coach does, with the exception of every time we upload or get a new computer program, which it seems like at our school is like once a quarter. I just came back from maternity leave, so I'm like, okay, what's different now? But yeah, I don't know. It just works out well for us because currently I'm the only one here today. So I know that if a student came in and wanted to register or wanted to apply for TRIO, I could process all those documents and do their intake and help them get registered if I had to.
Thank you. I think for me, I was just surprised. I felt like it was going to create more of a disconnect by not having that connection to the students and knowing all the things that are going on with them. And so that makes sense, being able to cross-train and also have that connection to all those different roles. I don't know if the question about which college was for me, but I'm at Southern Oregon University.
If it was for me, I'm at Blue Mountain Community College in Pendleton, Oregon.
I'm curious to know how, if people are reaching their number funded to serve. You know, I know that we've had a big challenge engaging students and getting continuous like students returning back. But we have noticed a small in our recent survey that students are interested in some different things. So you know, we've been trying to one of the activities that we're doing is actually reading through our grant and really looking at our programs and whether they're aligning with the grant, and then trying to insert ways to engage the students. But you know, I'm just curious to know what people are, or what programs challenges are and how many are meeting their numbers at this time. For context, also, I'm at a community college 2-year program.
Hey, Cassia, just to answer your question, we finally met our numbers, and we actually have a waiting list right now for September. You know, September 1st will admit more students, but it's just been, I will tell you, we have been very creative in getting our students. It used to be in the past, if you were doing an online program, just because we did so many of our activities on campus, we would have to tell students, sorry, you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't get very much of being in our program. And now a lot of our stuff is virtual. So we've been accepting way more students who are like, I'm not comfortable coming on campus. And for those of you who are familiar with Portland, Oregon, they don't feel safe coming downtown Portland. So we definitely have had to pivot in terms of how we deliver our services.
I can share as well, Kathy at Highland College in King County, Washington. We miraculously met our numbers this year. We really had to push it. We also had issues with staffing, as other folks might have had. So our director left for a new position. I was interim director for about 4 months. And then I went on leave. And so we were short-staffed. Our former TRIO director, who is now one of our deans, stepped in as interim. And so we implemented a lot of different strategies. We previously didn't accept as many AAS or certificate students just because of that transfer component. We removed like the essay questions from our application. We did a lot more direct outreach to faculty to kind of help push the program. But I think the big thing was removing the transfer portion and it was never before a requirement, but just kind of like easing up on the language for that and really just pushing like marketing and communication. So we're at about 165, if I recall correctly. But on our end, the kind of downside for that, and kind of hoping to hear back from other programs, is that like it's really stretched our staff thin. Folks feel really, really burnt out. The really personal those personal connections that our advisors previously had with their students feel a little bit more surface level, just because there's been so many intakes, so many new students, that it's been hard to find the time to really delve deep into building that relationship. And so that's kind of where we were at. We were definitely worried about not meeting our numbers, and I believe we met them in June or so. And yeah, we're really hoping to hear back from other colleges too if they were worried about that, as well as like if we think the Department of Ed would have been flexible with that as well. But yeah, last year we didn't meet our minimum number of students, and this year we have.
Along those lines, can anyone confirm that rule of thumb of if you hit 90%, you can still survive? That 90% rule, is that accurate?
So it's specified in your GAN, and actually 90% is when you can count prior experience points. But like for years 1 and 5 in your GAN, it'll say like ours is 75%. As long as we hit 75%, then we get like a no cost extension. But unless we hit 90% or more, we don't get any prior experience points. So
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, I have 2 grants and I have one that in a year 5 got over 90, but not 100%. So I think I'm okay.
Yeah, over 90 you should be golden. I think it's the like on your GAN, it's like that last quit on the first 3 pages. It's like that last question or that last bullet point right above the signature. That's where it should say the number, like the percentage funded to serve that will count for a continuation.
Thank you.
There isn't another question. I'll put the second guiding question in the chat. So this one is about communicating with your program officer. It's pretty broad. I think I would personally like to hear from someone that has maybe a good relationship with their program specialist, what they reach out to them about, or even vice versa. I'd also love to hear about, someone who's maybe not as connected to their program specialist and who wants maybe tips or anything along those lines. I'd love to hear more about.
I have a quick question relating back to the previous question.
Yeah.
Is there any way to maybe get just kind of an informal survey of how many programs are worried about not meeting their minimum numbers? I think it would just be helpful to get that picture and that scope of what's happening, whether it is regional, statewide, or national. That would be really helpful. And I know last year it was hard to say what the Department of Ed would do, but if we have any information on what they might do if programs are in the same position. Like I mentioned, we really changed our eligibility process to make it more flexible. So we are worried too that some of the students that we have that are coming, like if they will continue to persist. And so some of the things that we're thinking about.
Definitely, Kathy. I can definitely pass the word along to Victoria, our NAEOP president. And I know you're in Washington State, so I've heard you and we can definitely do that. I think Kessie put in the chat, just in general, it would be really great to see if folks here, how many of us are meeting our numbers or how many are not. Just get a quick pulse, at least the folks that are here. Great idea. see a wide range of responses. I think we have a good mixture of yes, no, no, but hoping to meet numbers. But I did see a couple folks say they're struggling with the 2/3 ratio. So maybe that's a good conversation for us to talk about right now. I'm interested to know if it's just people not identifying within our ratios, or is it the tracking of documentation?
Well, for Western Oregon University, we have two programs. We have the traditional SSS and then a teacher prep student support services. It's just students coming in with higher income levels. I mean, it's just been difficult. You know, we're pulling from the same group of folks, low enrollment, campus wide, and just getting folks in that are low income. Lots of first gen single qualifiers, but tough for the double qualifiers.
Same for us. We have plenty of first gen, and I'm recruiting vets, pre-collegiate vets, and it's the income that's killing us. They're above those income markers. So, which is great for them, but not for us.
Yeah, maybe I know that there was the policy seminar back in April. It would be really great if there's advocacy or conversation about this. For us, a big challenge for us is that the federal low income levels like don't actually match. Like we're in the Seattle, King County metro area, so what's considered like one person is just not. It doesn't match. Right? There's students that we meet with where it's like you should be getting more financial aid, you should qualify as low income for TRIO, but you don't because yeah. So that would be great if there's any conversation or advocacy opportunities around that.
And even in low cost of living areas like mine, so I'm in Southeast Idaho, we have seen rents more than double in the last year. And so, I mean, on top of gas and everything else, I do think it's an issue that's hitting most of us that could be addressed at a national level.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm not sure how the department changes those low income levels. Kessie, I'm not sure if you know. I do know they're changed once a year, and they tend to increase a little, at least since I've been in my position. Every year I've seen an increase, but I'm actually not sure where those numbers come from, but would be interesting to share out.
I think I'm curious we do an income verification form because the chart uses taxable income and financial aid uses adjusted gross income, which are two different numbers. Financial aid has a process where it's like an income recalculation. Is there anyone that does that? Or because I know once we verify income, it kind of stays with them, but is there any internal processes that anybody does that's similar to that?
Cassie, can you say that again? You rely on financial aid?
We have an income verification form, but say students have, once they certify at the beginning, that's that is their eligibility at that point. Financial aid has a recalculate aid, but we can never change their we can never change their income status. So if they're reporting last year's income, but their current income has changed dramatically, would we be able to use updated information from current year versus last year?
And you've already accepted this, so you're talking at the point of intake. That student is not low income based on their income verification statement. And then later on, you find out that, okay.
That they're current. So we're asking for last year's.
Yeah.
And then their current income has maybe dropped dramatically.
That's
Would I just write that into my policy of using current year because of changed circumstances?
That would make sense, since that's what the financial aid office does, to reconfigure their financial aid. But I'm not sure how that works federally for the program.
Because you're looking for taxable income. So I think that kind of even answers your question, because let's say right now my income changed, but I haven't done my taxes, right, for 2022. So you wouldn't know what the taxable income is. That's just how I'm thinking it through.
Something that we do, and I'm not sure if it's the best practice or not. So we have our students' upward bound program starting in the spring. And on that application, we ask them basically to interpret their tax documents and fill out the information and sign that statement. Later, once they're accepted, we do ask for them to give us their a copy of their taxes. And sometimes they've written it down wrong or something like that. So we'll see a change one way or the other. It's not a student that we've reported on yet. And so that we maybe have like a couple of, we thought they were low income, but really they're not, or vice versa. So I know it's supposed to really be at the point of acceptance. But sometimes we have a couple of these that we'll find are different, and then we report on whatever we find to be the true information from their taxes. So I'm not sure about that, if that's ideal. We find when people apply, it's hard to have someone apply and give all of their tax information just to be an applicant.
Yeah, I know in our application process, the income verification form is what tends to hold up students the longest in the application process.
Yeah, and we have something where they're sharing that information, but they sometimes don't get it right.
Well, I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. We only have 4 more minutes. So I did want to ask a general question. I know WSTA likes to hold these sort of like round table like events, but it has really been nice to see this kind of at the regional level and get to see new faces and get to hear from programs outside of our state. So I'd love if you could put in the chat maybe answer to the first question. Is this something you would like to see at the regional level? Yes or no, or maybe. And then question number 2, if yes, how frequent would you like to see these sessions? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for the feedback. It's nice to see that this group wants to connect. So I'll definitely let Victoria know that this is something that we're interested at the regional level. We'll just let her or our new incoming president for next year, Jeff, know, and they can hopefully set this up for us at a frequency that works both for the board as well as for hopefully a good number of us in this group. I'm glad to see again a lot of new faces. Maybe I will see you at the NAEOP conference. As a reminder, the NAEOP conference is in Eugene, Oregon, the first week of October. I think it's like the 8th through the 10th. I'll put the 9th through the 12th, excuse me. So if you are going, I hope to see you there. It will be only in person this year, or if you send staff members, please have them connect and engage with us and attend your state meetings and hopefully see some of you there.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Roseanne. Oh, could you stop the recording, Kezia?